My name is Ezra. I'm from Boston, Mass. in the USA, and I'm excited to be in Korea. For my dish, I chose to do a Southwestern adaptation of Bibimbap. It's a Southwestern American style dish, and I chose it because there are many similarities between it and Bibimbap. For instance, fresh vegetables, there's a crunch with the nachos that you get from bean sprouts and Bibimbap. It's a very colorful dish. It has a bit of a tang and spice to it, and it's very, very nice looking, fresh, and fun to eat. Parsley, jalapenos, some tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes, cloves of garlic and avocado, some more jalapenos, multicolored bell peppers, green onion. This is my 2 ounces of meat. So I'm going to start off by making the salsa for the dish. It's going to be a fresh salsa with tomato base, with garlic and jalapenos. It's going to mirror the taste of gochujang in the dish, in traditional bibimbap. So I'm going to just start off by dicing the tomatoes. This is going to add an element of zest and spice.
Pajeon first. The Korean style one first.
Once I have my tomatoes chopped, I'm going to take my cloves of garlic and just dice those as well. Last component of the salsa for ingredients, I'm going to take 2 jalapenos and I'm just going to dice them into rounds. About 1-2 centimeter in length. Keep the seeds in. That's where most of the spice comes from. One of the bibimbap dish for toppings, I'm going to take my colorful bell peppers, yellow, green, red, and I'm going to just dice them. I'm going to take out the middle. You want to get rid of the seeds. Cut it. I'm going to cut it lengthwise first. You don't want to dice the peppers too small, otherwise when they cook down they'll be too small and won't have any more of a discernible taste. Now I'm just going to take all the peppers, mix them up, dice them a little smaller, and garlic.
Hi, today I'm going to make traditional Korean pajeon. Very simple dish to make.
Now we're going to cook the tomatoes and garlic. Let the tomatoes get a little softer, warmer, and start to steam a little bit. And that's when they become soft enough to crush into small pieces. And not necessarily puree, but become viscous enough to turn into a salsa. Now to get these to cook a little faster, I'm going to cover the pan for a while and have them steam.
There are many variations.
I'm going to go on to the next component of the bibimbap dish. I have my bowl here. I'm going to take corn, sweet canned corn. The taste isn't too much different than fresh corn once you mix it with the spices. Just drain out that excess water. Use about half of this 340 gram can, so a little less than 200 grams. Brown or darken the edges of it, so I prefer to just tear it up into little pieces. So I'm just going to take the flour part of the herb and just tear it up into little pieces like this. I'm going to rip it up a little more, make sure it's pretty finely torn. We're going to add it to the corn mixture. Mix that up a little bit. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of lime juice.
So at this point now,
mix that up a little. We're going to start cooking the peppers.
Next dish.
And as we have our peppers here. We're gonna wait for this to heat up. The tomatoes and garlic, we're starting to get a little more liquefied. So we're gonna mix that up a little. And as we wait for the pepper pan to heat up, we're gonna start to add some spices to this. So
take a little sesame seeds.
I'm gonna take a little bit of black pepper. Just put in about a few dashes. Next, I'm gonna take some sea salt.
Salty?
Very salty. A little bit of kosher salt, either one, kosher, iodized salt will do. Give it a good mix.
No, it's not just cleaning up. Let's just clean up. It's basically salt all over here.
A little bit of chili powder. I'm just gonna add a drizzle of that. Very small amount because we're also gonna be using it in the salsa mixture. Tiny bit of onion powder, less than a teaspoon. Tiny bit of garlic powder, also less than a teaspoon. Great, now we're gonna go back to the tomatoes. Looks like they're cooked thoroughly. We're gonna start to spice it up a little. So we're gonna go back to the chili powder that we use.
Now, fritters are
Put in about a
Southern
teaspoon.
American item. They're very popular.
Cumin.
I think it'd be good for the Korean taste. We're gonna make it a little fusion by adding some
About a teaspoon.
soy sauce and some chili peppers.
And a little bit more salt. That tastes super good. Salt never hurts.
Cut it.
Just gonna mix that up a little. So you want to make sure the peppers are thoroughly cooked, but not so cooked that they lose their taste or crunch. The crunch is an integral part of bibimbap. You have that with the mushrooms a little bit, with the bean sprouts, so you want to make sure that crunch is still there once you cook it. We're going to throw some jalapenos in. You don't want to cook it for too much longer, otherwise it'll cook away the jalapeno spice. So just mix it up a little. You want to pull the oils out of the jalapeno seed. That's where the spice comes from. I'm going to take the salsa, pour it out on this pan. And start to work on the meat.
After we clean it.
We have our 2 ounces of meat here. I'm going to pan fry it. I'm not going to wash the pan from the salsa. I wanted to keep the flavor in there from the garlic. It's going to add a little hint of spice, pungent spice to it. So I have our piece here. I'm going to dice it, just like in traditional bibimbap, into lengthwise pieces.
I didn't think it'd be that good. I just do a lot more.
To the meat now, we have our pan and the remains of the salsa in there. A little garlic, jalapeno flavor, and tomatoes. So we're going to fry that up. Put a little bit more oil. We're not going to have to wait as long because it's still warm.
The flat side, as flat as possible.
So we're just going to move that around a little. Wait a minute. Check on the peppers.
Lay it flat.
Give it one more
As
taste.
flat as possible. I'll put it through. Just be careful.
And they're done.
Basically what you want is a nice, even, flat crust.
Just going to pour out the peppers there. We'll start with the meat. Now you want the temperature to be on high here. Because you want them to sizzle a little bit. You want the outside to be cooked through a little tougher on the outside, and the inside to be not rare, but you don't want all the juice to come out since they're very small pieces. We're going to take our same spatula that was used to cook the salsa and the peppers, use it on the meat as well. cooking the outside, again, we don't want to cook it for too long. Otherwise, all the juice will run out, the meat will become too dry. So we're just gonna check the side of that, see if it's cooked through. As you can see here, looks like it's well enough done on that side, so we can flip them all. Similar spices, we're just gonna throw in a little bit of salt there. You don't want to salt the meat too early, otherwise if you marinate it with salt, the salt will draw the juice out of the meat. So you want to make sure to salt it at the end of the cooking process. We're going to take a little bit of cumin, less than a teaspoon here, just a little drizzle over the top.
I've never seen this before. What is this?
Again, a little chili powder. A little bit of garlic. So once we've very lightly seasoned the meat, we're going to mix it up. Just make sure we collect all the spices at the bottom of the pan.
So it's going to make a fusion.
And we're going to take it off.
Shrimp,
So now we can start the plating process. We have our big size Bibimbap bowl. We're going to take about a small, maybe about a cup and a half of rice, a little less. We're going to put that at the bottom of the bowl. Make sure it's a nice round shape right there. We don't want it to be built up too high, so just spread down at the bottom of the bowl. I'm going to dice it round like this and split it into two halves so I can take out the pit in the middle there. So I've done that, sort of remove both pieces together. And open it up, preferably having done minimal damage, so we can still make nice slices out of that. So I'm going to take this, stick the spoon in, and just move it, groove it around the edges. So we've scooped that out, but I'm going to still keep it in the shell. I'm going to take a knife and cut it in lengthwise pieces, just like that. Make sure not to cut your hand. Very attractive avocado slices here.
And squeeze.
We're going to set this to the side. We're going to just dice it into rounds. You still want to keep the crunch that you get from the green onion. That's what element it adds. It's a little bit of crunch. But you can also press it down and it'll open up a little. So you might lose a little bit of crunch, but you have this stringy texture that'll sort of mix in with the rest of the ingredients in the bowl. Won't stay in these large chunks. Alright, so we're going to take our salsa. This is the gochujang of the Southwestern dish. We're just going to place a little in the middle, like so. And again, if you like it a little spicier, you can add some of those fresh jalapenos to the top. Next, we're going to take our colorful pepper and jalapeno mix. We're just going to set a little of that to the side, taking up about 1/4 of the side of the bowl. And again, we're just going to set that to the side so it takes about 1/4 of the bowl.
Now that we added all our ingredients.
Sizzled meat.
It looks
Again,
like a lot.
so.
Because it is a fry. The term fritter means fry.
And we're going to take our avocado, and you can keep it, if you have a neat design like that, you can keep it, or you can break it apart. Do your own little design there. We can add a few nachos to the mix, so you can just assort nachos side of the bowl, like so. And you can use those nachos to scoop up the salsa or whatever mix you've done, and enjoy it like you're eating Southwest food and you're eating Korean food. So.